This is the Aptitude Outdoors Podcast, where we interview travelers, explorers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the best tips and stories from around the world.
You want a paper towel?
Amateur hour. No, I want the world to see how clumsy and terrible I am at everything. All right, we are back with another Aptitude Outdoors podcast, joined by the astounding Mr. Matt Bucher. Man, I'm so excited. We did an episode of the TV show with you. We had a blast. We just actually tonight, as we're sitting here doing this podcast, we're airing a best of episode, and you guys made the cut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you about it because I just found out about it like yesterday. Cool. And we thanked you for letting us use your really expensive equipment we could never afford. That was a blast.
Yeah.
And driving that cool off-road, what is that thing called?
That's the Polaris Ranger.
That thing is sweet.
It is. It's
I need to get one.
It is besides my wife's wedding ring, is probably the second best thing I ever bought.
Nice.
And I hope she watches.
There.
I hope she watches this. So
he really cares if he said that.
Exactly.
But you're also the president, founder of Toledo Trail Riders.
Yeah.
It's your baby.
It is. It's something I'm definitely proud of. Been doing this since 2008. It kind of started off as really just an idea of volunteers, and really just kind of snowballed into something a little bigger than I was kind of expecting. But we'll take it, and we've taken the lead, and we've got a lot of good members and sponsors, and we're just having a lot of fun and a lot of success too, which is good.
Isn't it crazy how sometimes you just do stuff you like doing, and all of a sudden you're like, what you're 2008, so you're like, what, 10, 12, 13 years later?
Yeah.
You're sitting here like, how did this happen?
Yeah, it's you blink your eyes. Of course, I mean, I've got two young boys, and it's like you blink your eyes, and all of a sudden they're, 9 and 6. It's like, what in the world happened?
Yeah, exactly.
But in the meantime, I mean, I started the club before they were born. But it's just amazing how different pathways take you, and your membership starts to grow, and then that takes you in different pathways too. So,
how many members you guys currently have?
88.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you do most of your riding out at Maumee State Forest, right?
Yeah, that's primarily our main focus, and that's why we started. We really started, actually, unfortunately, because of two gentlemen losing their lives. My dad happened to be there when that happened, and really that was kind of the inspiration, if you will. You kind of had a tragic event, inspiration to make things better. Basically, the trails were too fast. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of led to success. So that's kind of the pathway there. But
when we were filming with you guys, we went out there, and like that, you guys do hard work. It's not like a club where you guys go and sit around on the weekends and hang out and talk about your feelings. You guys go out there and work. That's super impressive.
Well, we do talk about our feelings, but we won't share any of those. No, I appreciate that, because it is a lot of hard work. I mean, it's not something we're doing every weekend, but when we have work days, volunteer days out there, I mean, sometimes it's 95 degrees and hot and humid, and, we did one in August, I think it was, and had to do a little maintenance out there, and but that is what it is. That's the responsibility that we take being volunteers.
Well, I want to know how you get 80 people to volunteer to do hard manual labor. That you must be like a magician, or like I don't even know what.
Well, it's certainly not my good looks, but
I don't know. Better than mine.
Yeah. Well, you got nicer hair than I, Paul. You got real nice hair, but no,
you don't know that. You've only seen me with a hat on.
It's we're no different than most clubs, other than the fact that our club is growing. A lot of clubs, unfortunately, and really, I think the whole volunteerism throughout the country is down, from what I understand. But what the percentage, probably a good 15% of our guys, 20% of our club, our membership, are the ones that are actually willing to go out into the trail and do the work. There's certainly members that say, I'm supporting you through membership. Mm-hmm. I'll like your Facebook page. I'll tell everybody how great a job you're doing, but I'm not going to do much of that work. That's fine. That's fine. But the guys and gals that actually come out and help, it's really impressive.
Well, and the day we came out to film, you guys had like quite a few people out there. Like you filled the parking lot with volunteers essentially. And is the appeal like you do a little work and then you get to go ride for a couple hours, or is it just
it's
the community?
I think it's all the above. So like for me, if you could say, hey, Matt, here's a job that paid well, but that actually, you could go out and lay out trail, that'd be the best job in the world. I mean, that would be like Christmas every day for me.
Yeah.
Because that's fun. I'm like you. I love being outside. I love being with our club members. When at the end of the day, that trail is for not only myself, but for others in the public, I think it gives you a lot of deep down pride to know that, hey, I'm doing something bigger than me here.
Oh, yeah.
And like with our new project, the new single track that's coming on, there is a lot of motivation to install it, to maintain it, to ride it, and then rinse and repeat and keep doing it again.
Well, because like the forest, or who maintains it? The Forest Service, or is it the
Ohio Department of Natural Resources?
Okay. Ohio Department
Division
of
of Forestry.
So they're kind of relying on you guys a little bit to keep that up and running, aren't they?
Yeah, the single track for sure, because their proposal, or I should say our proposal to them was, give us the trail and we'll maintain it. See, the beautiful thing about single track is, which single track is just motorcycle only trail, is there's literally no cost to it. I mean, the only cost we literally have since the trail opened in 2016 is the signage.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not talking, that's not thousands of dollars or anything. You're talking maybe a couple $100 at the most. So, and that's actually some of those signs we donated as a club.
You guys hung one up the day we were out there.
Yeah, we did.
Really cool.
So, as far as a taxpayer saying, I'm not paying for that trail, congratulations,
Yeah.
you're not. You're not paying
we're
not paying a single dime.
And that's super awesome. And like, I just want to like, a lot of time when someone becomes or starts out as the president of an organization, they're kind of like a figurehead, but they're not out there like in the trenches. I mean, I saw you with a chainsaw cutting down trees. Like, how much more involved can you be? It's like sometimes people get in that role and they just like, this is for everyone else. But you're like out there leading the charge, like a general in a battle, And it's so cool to see that. I mean, we're in your awesome, by the way, barn out here with all your cool toys.
Thank you.
You got
undisclosed location.
I don't know where we are. You wouldn't let me
Northwest
the address.
Ohio.
You just gave me a GPS coordinate and blindfolded me when I got here. But you got the saws hanging on the wall and stuff that you use. You don't just have some building off in the middle of nowhere that's locked up somewhere you guys check into every once in a while and hang out. And this is your endeavor, and you can tell.
Yeah,
it's legitimate.
The phrase "all in." I'm all in. And I'm all in right now. Come back and in 30 years, I might not be all in.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hope I'm all in, but in a different way. Because when things started kind of going, we started talking about, setting up the club. We were kind of an unofficial club, and then we said, okay, we need to create a nonprofit. When all that happened, it was kind of like, okay, which direction we want to go. We want to have a board of directors. So honest to goodness, if the membership, the 88 members are not happy with me, vote me out.
Yeah.
That's how
True democracy.
The true democracy. But, there's a reason it works.
Yeah.
And I think it works in organizations, obviously works in our
Keeps you
country.
accountable.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was, really blessed and privileged to win an award this past fall. It's actually this guy here.
Nice. We'll get a close-up on that before.
Yeah, for sure. And I put it next to the sign because that's really a representation of the club.
That's from the AMA, American Motorcyclist Association. That's not just some local little thing.
No,
that's like a nationwide organization.
It is, yeah.
Worldwide, nationwide.
It's it's an honor to have won it.
That's great.
And I'm proud to say that I won it in representation of those members. So again, if the members are not happy with me, vote me out. But to get back to what you were saying earlier, I love being out in the woods. You said, well, you're not like most some presidents of organizations that don't actually get their hands.
I'm not
dirty.
afraid to call people out on this show.
No, well, do your thing.
Do your thing.
Do your thing. But I actually love that. And then to be out in the woods, I mean, I live in the woods. So, to be out in the woods on the trail with other people that are like-minded. Honestly, I told ODNR this. We were doing some preliminary work out there back in December. And I said to Don and the gang, I said, this is like Christmas to me. And they're kind of looking at me funny, like, what is this guy talking about? But it is like Christmas. I mean, I love it that much. It's, if I could do it every day, I would.
Well, the thing that kind of blew me away when we first met is not only do you have this awesome organization, you do this great volunteer work, you're making a difference like in the thing you believe in, which is motocross, or not motocross, but
off-road riding.
Yep. And but you actually have a legit background. Like, you didn't just ride a dirt bike one day and we're like, oh, this is fun. Well, I mean, you've done some serious riding. Yeah,
I have. I've been, again, another blessing, to have ridden, and I'm staring at my motorcycle now, but
it does look really nice.
She doesn't talk to you. I've asked a lot of questions, but it's like a one-way conversation there, Paul. But
sometimes those are the best.
But no, I've been very fortunate to, I started off kind of racing motocross as a young kid, and locally here, out here in Delta Motorsports Park, and kind of went from there. It kind of in the teenage years kind of started to migrate towards off-road racing, hare scrambles, Grand National cross country races. I've been fortunate enough to actually win 2 national championships racing throughout my younger day.
That's pretty impressive.
And started racing enduros, and I love the enduros, which is kind of a checkpoint thing. You're racing from checkpoint to checkpoint.
Are those long? I don't know anything about the sport at all. I don't. What is an enduro like?
An enduro is like you're being timed from point A to point B.
Okay.
And then at the end of the day, the lowest score wins. So really, when you're on the trail racing through the woods or through fields or streams or wherever, you're not necessarily racing the guy next to you. You're racing the clock.
That sounds dangerous and scary and adrenaline pumping.
It can be.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's well, it can be dangerous. Unfortunately, last fall I lost a really dear friend down in near Greenville, Ohio, at an enduro. It was a beautiful day. Steve Almer. I gotta mention him only because he's greatly missed. Really, if you take the motorcycling out of it, I've known him for probably 20 some years easily. He just was an awesome friend. He'd call you up out of the blue, how you doing? Always talked about his kids and how proud he was of his kids and his wife. I mean, he was just, and his dad was there with him, his brother and his son. They all 4 of them went together, but not just there, but every weekend they were spending that time, that family bonding time around the sport that they love. It's a tragic situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm telling you, I'm very convinced that Steve, would not have wanted to go any other way than that.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
You don't get to pick.
Yeah, you don't get to pick.
You don't get to pick your time. That's for the Lord above. But he was doing something he really loved to do, and he was very good at it.
I'll probably be up on a mountain somewhere, and if that's the way it's got to go, then I'd be pretty happy about that.
Well,
better than going out in a hospital bed or something.
Yeah, there's certainly 15 ways to look at it all.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably in your audience would think we're crazy for saying that, but unless you do have a passion for things, it's it certainly could be a blessing for some. So.
But you also have done, you've gone over to Europe and raced.
Yeah.
That is, to me, that's always impressive. It's one thing to win locally. It's one thing to win regionally and nationally. Right. There's something to be said for that. But to be able to, travel internationally and compete in something that's, you like to do, to me, that's, the pinnacle of that's so amazing.
Right.
I'm sure that took, years of dedication, decades.
Well, it took a lot of years of trial and error. The race you're referring to is the International 6 Days Enduro. I tried to qualify for a lot of years and didn't make it. You know, you have to actually qualify to get in. You can't just show up. And really, our country takes, you know, the best of the best through a qualifying system. So I've been fortunate to race 2 of them. I didn't finish either one of them. I had bike problems in both of them. 2004, my bike in Poland, the valves decided to tighten up on day 3. Couldn't get it going again. And then in Chile in 2007, I actually on day 3 again, it's kind of like my jinx day, I guess.
Jeez.
I couldn't get the air filter in the bike properly. It was a rental bike, and I wasn't used to riding. Not to make excuses, but it's just kind of the way it was. But sucked a bunch of sand in. It was down on the beach, and then the bike quit. I had to push it just a ridiculous amount of time through the desert, and actually got the bike going again. But I technically was considered a DNF because I had houred out that day. I re-impounded, got to push the bike, and thankfully we got it going again. But I didn't get a medal. I was on a silver medal at that time, which was kind of a bummer. But it is what it is.
So the first time you actually took your own bike over there?
Yeah. So what happens is our country, you ship your bike to a location, and actually quite coincidentally, the location now is in White House, Ohio. They ship it right here, from friends of ours. And so all these bikes get shipped there, and then they put them on a big shipping container, and then they ship it to wherever country they need to go to, you know, obviously several months in advance.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, logistically, that sounds a little hairy.
It can be, yeah.
But no, I mean, even to compete overseas, to me, was always anything that anybody does to compete around the world is just like the coolest thing ever, because not a lot of people get to do that. People travel overseas, but to actually take a passion and go somewhere and do something with it is, to me, is like how much better does it get?
Right.
If you don't like traveling, I guess it wouldn't be that great. But.
Well, I don't like flying, and I can tell you, crossing the equator is no fun in an airplane. The air gets real thin, and that kind of. Actually, this was 2007 when we went to Chile. It was the longest flight of my life. You know, and coincidentally on this trip, so the bike breaks down. It's day 3. I'm out in the middle of the desert, and all of a sudden, I'm looking at the bike going, what in the world is going on here? And all of a sudden, I thought I was getting a little, like, dizzy or something. It was an earthquake.
What?
It was, yes.
Sounds like a video game.
Yeah, no. At the same time, I didn't know it. I mean, we're in Ohio. We don't have earthquakes, you know. The bike starts kind of moving around, and I'm like, what in the world? What am I looking at here?
Am I going to pass out?
And so, you know, my father-in-law always jokes. He said, well, that was the trip that shook you up, and you came back and proposed to my daughter, you know. So I did, yeah. I come back home.
Nice.
And you know, that was in November, I think the race was, and December we got engaged. She said yes. So
obviously,
yeah.
Worked out well for the both of you, I think.
Yeah, thank goodness.
That in and of itself is super cool. But when you say a 6-day enduro race, is that like 6 days backcountry, or you kind of like go to checkpoints and sleep, and how does it work? No,
so you're riding approximately 150 to 170 miles a day, and you're going checkpoint to checkpoint, and then in between those checkpoints you have a what they call like special tests. So it could be a 3 to 5 mile section through the woods that the organizers, you know, kind of set up, and you're supposed to go as fast as you possibly can, and that's how they time you. And then the leaders, all your scores below them are based on the leader's time. So, and it is hard. It's the toughest thing I've ever had to do on a motorcycle. I mean, day 4 down in Chile was literally the hardest, most physically demanding, excruciating day of my life. And I played football and all kinds of sports. Because the bike was so damaged on day 3 because all the sand had sucked in. I couldn't hardly make the hills. And it was the most mountainous day, and I'm pushing, and I almost houred out again. And I just remember going back to the hotel, and I told my dad, I said, I don't know how this bike's going to make it, but if it keeps running, I'll keep going. You know, I mean, because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to go and to do this thing. So,
well, I don't think when you think of riding a motorized anything, you don't think like, oh, this is a physically enduring feat. But I mean,
No.
you're taking a beating out there. I would assume your shocks are going up, but you're standing, getting back down, cruising, probably getting beat up.
It's that terrain down there was particularly difficult because it was kind of deserty, but it had a lot of sand and a lot of rocks, and it was dusty. So you're just flying across these deserts, and you're just praying. You're like, oh my gosh, I just pray that nobody's crashing in front of me. I mean, but you have to do that to stay on time.
Yeah.
You have to give it gas.
Go.
And that's just how it goes. But it is tough. A lot of guys, sometimes they don't finish because they just can't physically do it. And actually, it's more of a mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
Once your mind starts wandering towards, I want to quit,
It's over.
it's over.
Yeah, I mean, I've done some endurance stuff. My wife and I had hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, yeah.
That was brutal. I
Yep.
mean, it was long, 20 miles a day sometimes, and so like I feel your pain. You're just like, this is not always the most thrilling. But when you love doing something, it's not that bad. Even when it's kind of terrible, you're still like, I could be sitting at my desk right now, kind of working my 9 to 5 and being bored out of my mind.
It is.
Instead, I'm trying to blow my knees out. I don't know what I'm doing out here, but
There's many a races in my lifetime that I've thought, why in the hell am I doing this? I mean, as you're
Yes.
trying to make it up a hill, and there's 50 guys stuck on the hill, and it's muddy, and your bike's overheating, and you're just physically exhausted. And mind you, the next day you got to go to work, because that's a Sunday.
Yikes.
But you know what? It's one of the greatest things that you'd ever do. Even if you don't win, you're still accomplishing something.
And it's fun.
It's
It's
fun.
awesome.
It's fun.
So you've had I would consider it a very successful career in what you've done with riding, competing, traveling, and then on top of that, you come home, you start this awesome organization, which
Right.
brings us to today. What, 13 years later? Right? Was that right? My math is
12, I
12
think.
years.
Yeah.
And now you have a documentary coming out. I am very excited about that because I'm a documentary nerd. I will be the first person to watch your documentary. You better invite me to the
We will.
premiere.
For the
I'm
premiere.
so excited. When I heard about it, I was immediately like, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you asking. And really what happened there was we were at our race this past September, and the Fallen Timbers Classic and our Hare Scramble. And we had Paul Schlegel out, and that's who you're talking about. And Paul was up on kind of stage air, and he's talking before the riders meeting. And now through my work, we had recently done like a legacy video, and we had gotten my own grandmother on the video because we're a family business. And so as Paul's talking, I kind of am like putting my grandmother's face with him, and all of a sudden, like the light bulbs and I'm thinking, why can't we do something like this for him? We lose all these great motorcyclists all the time. I mean, we get, actually speaking of the AMA, I mean, I'm on an email list, and it seems like all the time these legends are dying. I mean, it is the cycle of life, right? But they're dying, and we're not hearing. We know what they did, but we're not hearing from them what they did. And Paul is very much of sound mind. He's getting older, but the guy has done so much. And I kind of, on a smaller scale, so we do our Hare Scramble race, right? And I'm thinking, I know the stress and the anxiety and the management and the organization and the promotion, all the things that go into doing a race. And this guy did it 1,000,000 times more and bigger than we did. And I start to think, man, this guy did some stuff that not many people can do. Now, he did it mainly for profit, right? I mean, we're doing it more for fun. But, and I'm talking big time racing. National motocrosses out here in Delta. A lot of people don't know that. He hosted flat track races. He did the Lima Half National. He was the kind of the inventor of the Pontiac Silverdome. He told me a story that Supercross, and he told me that when they were building the Silverdome, he was going in the construction trailer and pitching the idea of having an indoor motocross race at the stadium, and it wasn't even built yet. I mean, you talk about visionary.
Yeah, I was going to say that is visionary if I've ever heard it.
Drive. But the whole time, He's a guy, I always call him the most legendary guy that you've never heard about. Nobody's heard about him. I mean, even people that race these bikes and been around the sport, they're like, Paul Schlegel, who's that?
That's crazy.
We know because we're from Toledo, and that's where he's from. But most people don't have a clue, and it's a shame they don't have a clue. But he said he was not a rah-rah guy. Yeah. He was the guy behind the scenes going, okay, I need you here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this phone call. Help me with this. Let's coordinate. You know, he was the brainchild behind a lot of it, but he wasn't the guy going, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Too busy to talk about himself.
Yeah, he was probably too busy.
Well, so what is the overall kind of like story behind this documentary? I mean, so you just kind of gave us the background, like you had this thought.
Yep.
And how did you kind of put the plan into action to make this thing go? Well,
great question. So I started talking to some of our board members in the club, and I said, hey, you know, I first sent them the link to the one we did at my work. And I said, picture this, but with Paul talking about motorcycles. They said, that's a fantastic idea. So I called Todd Productions, who's the company we work with, right, Mom Me, another local business. And I pitched it to Todd. I said, Todd, what do you think? And I started telling him about the stuff that, you know, the accomplishments that Paul's done. Paul's like a popular name. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I've heard a few.
Yeah, Paul. I just thought of that. I'm like, my dad's name is Paul. You're Paul, Paul Schlegel. My middle name's Paul. We all got something common.
Good middle name.
Yeah, thank you. I'll keep it. But you know, I said, Todd, what do you think about this idea? And he don't know anything about motorcycles. He goes, I think you're onto something.
That's you. It's coming from someone who makes stuff all the time. I find it sometimes better that it's not knowing what you're going into, because you don't focus on the things that you think are important in your field. You focus on the stuff that's actually important. Well, that's a good call.
And that's what he said. He goes, I don't know anything about motorcycles, and you know, I did a little research, and I think it's a great idea. And you know, then now we have like a committee. We're trying to get it involved at the national level. That's kind of the big kind of next hurdle.
That's tough.
We got some local sponsors, but can we get the big guys and gals to come in? So
you're trying to make this like a national documentary.
Well, quite frankly, and I'm just going to get right to the point.
Yeah,
we need sponsors.
Yeah, everybody needs sponsors.
But
no, I'm not. The video stuff is expensive.
It's not cheap.
Yeah, I know.
But for him, for his legacy, it shouldn't be half-assed. Excuse the language.
Absolutely.
But you know, he's done way too much for the sport to, you know, this club probably wouldn't be here without Paul. I mean, you know, if you think about all the things that have happened through the decades, you know. So it needs to be done right, and it needs to be done professional. And I'm very much confident that Todd Productions will do that, because we've seen their body of work. But it takes money to do it, and we got to get the money to get it done. So,
well, we will try and push on the podcast
so
people hear it, because no, it is important. I mean, somebody who's so revered in the field should be remembered and, like, you know, have something for people to recognize them, because a lot of people go unnoticed. It happens all the time. I run into a lot of people who do amazing things and nobody knows about it. And that's why I started doing this.
Right.
I want to talk to people who are doing cool things.
Right.
And because I'm not good at a lot of stuff, but I can talk to people all day long.
Right.
I want to hear their stories, you know.
Well, and you got a talent for this. I mean, you know, you got drive. You got drive, and I mean, you're doing things that nobody else is doing, and that's kind of what we look kind of like doing this documentary film for Paul. Let's get this done before something happens to him, you know, because you just don't know. I mean, each day is different for folks. So.
How long have you guys been working on it so far?
Well, the race was in September.
Okay.
We started sending out not memberships, but sponsorships, you know, shortly thereafter, probably October-ish, somewhere around there. We've had several planning meetings. I've gone to Paul's house, talked with him. You know, getting him on board was a little challenging too, because again, he's not a rah-rah guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's just not a guy look at me, you know.
That could have killed it right there. I have this great idea. We're going to make a documentary about you. Like, nah, I'm good. Like,
yeah, I'm so glad he did. And this is not a project that's going to be done in a week. You know,
no.
You know, we need to have his availability and work around his schedule. So, you know, it's an ongoing thing. Like most of the things our club's involved with, it's a constant pushing, constant following up, constant just keep the momentum going. Kind of hate to say it figuratively, but kind of staying on the throttle. You know,
that I've come to find personally that's the only way to get things done.
Yep.
If I'm not booking 3-5 podcasts a week, I get bored.
Right.
Because I don't know. I just always have to be doing you strike me as that kind of guy. You always got to be go.
You get in trouble a lot when you get bored, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's better for everyone involved if I'm doing something, because if I'm not, I'll be doing something stupid and I'll get myself in trouble. So that's very accurate.
Yep.
I'm glad you noticed that. Most people do.
No, I'm very much in the same boat. You know, you got to keep. I remember, a couple of years ago, my dad, when kind of things where momentum was kind of picking up with the club, I remember him just saying, "Keep pushing, keep pushing." And, and it's hard. You kind of run out of things to keep pushing about. But again, as our membership grows, there's always twists and turns that are kind of coming up.
Do you find that you kind of get restless when there's not a new challenge in front of you? You're just kind of like, do you like create new challenges for yourself sometimes? With either like say growing the club membership. If that's I'm just making things. If that's a thing, like until you complete the goal, and then you're just like it gives you some meaning to work for, something meaningful to work for. But then when it's over, you're just kind of like, I need to make something harder now. Like you almost make your life harder on purpose.
My wife would tell you, well, resounding yes.
Let's get her out of here.
It really probably she would be the better one on the podcast, to be honest. But she's definitely easier on the eyes, that's for sure. Another brownie point. Did you see that, Paul? I know you just got married not too long ago, but
yes.
you gotta score when you can with the brownie points.
I think you're onto something here. You're teaching me some valuable life lessons.
Write these down. And always say yes, dear. And,
I've heard that one before.
Yes, dear, and I'm sorry goes a long way, All
right.
But anyway, so.
And my wife's listening to this like.
Is she?
That boy has something to learn.
But no, I used to say when the club kind of started, we were like kind of climbing a mountain. But as the membership's grown, and figuratively with like ODNR, they've kind of learned to kind of trust us a little bit more. They kind of see, hey, these guys really care.
Yeah.
Their membership is growing. They're not going anywhere. So the mountain kind of got a little shorter, if that or less steep.
Absolutely.
But you throw in some new challenges here and there, and there's new
documentary.
A documentary.
There's a huge
I've never
challenge.
done a documentary. I've never, I feel sorry for my sons, but they like movies on Friday nights, and I'm barely lucky to stay awake for them. It's like I feel bad. They're like, oh, Dad's asleep again. Like, well,
I think that's just a dad thing.
It must be,
because my dad never made a documentary either, and he was always sleeping. So I think that's just a dad thing.
Yeah, there's just, and there'll be more challenges.
Oh yeah.
We've had challenges with the races that we put on. Certainly the weather didn't help a couple years. Different things with that, but ultimately we get through them together and we'll be okay.
Well, one of the cool things is, even before we started, the podcast up and before we started talking, you had your kids out here. I don't know, people that are listening obviously can't see, but we got a couple cameras on here for our YouTube channel, and you got your kids have bikes, you have bikes. How awesome is that to get to like do the thing you love with your kids?
Yeah,
are they like totally into it?
Well, sort of. So
as much as kids can be.
Exactly. So Max, his first race was last fall at the Fallen Timbers Classic. That was his first race. He did pretty good. I think he got 4th or 5th. We had like 15, 50cc auto kids out there. It got boys and girls. I think there was a slew of girls out there racing too. A lot of people don't think, well, why is that girl racing? Oh no, man. There's some seriously fast girls in this country and across the world that can that can not only race motocross, they can go real fast off road. But
well, one of my best buddies and his fiance both ride together. They're obsessed.
Yeah,
their bikes probably cost as much as their cars.
No, it's great. I mean, seeing all them kids, that was like, not to go off tangent here, but
hey, we're all about tangents.
Yeah, squirrel. There's a squirrel. The best thing I saw that day in the fall was all those 50 kids. That I almost got a little teary-eyed. It was just like the greatest thing. It's like, that's our future. Mm-hmm. They're at our race. The parents were loving it. The course was perfect. It was really a blessing. But Santa brought him a new bike, and I'm looking over there at it.
That is a nice bike.
He's got a new bike, so he just got too big. I mean, he's too big for the 50. So he's got a 110, and he wants to race some more. So I said, he's a very involved young man. He's doing basketball now. I said, well, you're not going to do track. I said, you're either gonna race, I'll take you racing, or you're gonna do some school sport and soccer or whatever, and if that's what he wants to do. Yeah. So we kind of do one at a time. It's kind of our motto, if you will. But Vincent, the youngest, he kind of got on his bike last fall a little bit, and he was definitely intimidated. He got on his brother's bike, crashed that the first time, and so he wadded up out in the woods and hit a tree. And he didn't get hurt or nothing, but I mean, he wasn't going very fast. But hopefully,
I have many memories of just eating it as a child on motorized vehicles. We had a go-kart.
Oh, did you?
I broke my arm on it.
Cool.
I've had a lot of mishaps with trees and going too fast and tumbling. So
I've never crashed.
I believe that.
In the 35 years I've been doing this, I never crashed. But
very believable.
Yep.
Never once.
Never once. Not one time.
No.
But no, it's really neat to get them involved. And we talk about this, my wife and I. If they're not as involved as I did, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. Just find something that you're passionate about and go for it. I don't have any expectation of, being an ISDE participant now. If they come to me and say, Dad, I want to, the International 6 Days Enduro. So when I went to Poland and Chile.
Sorry.
Yep.
Clueless over here.
It's all right. If they don't want to do national enduros, they don't want to do this, I'm okay with that. Would I love that to happen? Absolutely. But if they don't and they're not passionate about it, that's fine.
So when you were growing up, was your dad super into it?
He was. And really what kind of got us going was we linked up with the Maston family from White House, and Randy and Mandy and Cody, and we started traveling the country and in part of the world too, and going, racing off road, and it can get addicting. I mean, it really can. You're competing for a championship, so that's number one. You love the sport. It's a huge challenge. So then you're going to get a gym membership because you got to get in shape for this thing.
Yeah,
I mean, you have.
It's an all-in sport.
It's all in. I've missed family weddings for this sport. I've missed funerals. I've missed work. I've missed school.
It's okay to miss work every once in a while.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I know the bosses.
I've never done that, but
no, Paul, you don't strike me.
Just like you've never crashed.
You strike me as a guy that's very punctual.
I've never called in sick to do a podcast once.
I wouldn't. I would be shocked to hear that, but
and that's how I got fired.
Oops.
That's okay.
Well,
I'll become a professional podcaster.
There you go. There you go.
It's pretty lucrative, I hear.
No, it's like I said, it's a very challenging sport. If the kids don't want to do it, I'm okay with that. But
your dad rides though, right?
He does still. He does. That's 62 years old.
I was like, I'm pretty sure you was out there when we were filming, riding with you guys.
Yeah, in all seriousness, if he would, compete for like a regional championship in the Masters class, which is a 60 plus, I would have no doubt that he would win it. I mean,
really?
Yeah, no, he was a kind of an A level rider, kind of went to B and then kind of back to A again. There's not very many guys of his, age, if you will. My dad's a very young 62. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, well, your dad's 62? I wouldn't believe that.
Well, he gave it all up for rock and roll, right? I hear he's a pretty
he
rock
does.
and roller.
Yeah, he's got a band. My dad is very much the quintessential, like we talked about earlier. If he gets bored, he's going to get into trouble. He's going to buy probably a vintage bike. He's going to do something, and then he's in the doghouse for that. So yeah, it's probably good that he stays active with something.
I'm always like enthralled or excited about families who have this like running generation of like, my dad was a dirt biker, my dad did this, my dad did that. It's always so cool because it's pretty uncommon, I would say, because nowadays you're seeing a lot of stuff with, nobody knows what they want to do. Nobody has any like real hobbies or drive. I mean, maybe I'm generalizing, but I see a lot of people that I know, they just do the 9 to 5. They go home, wake up, complain about work. And it's like, we both have jobs like the rest of them.
Right.
But we're out here doing a podcast right now. You run an entire basically other business on top of your day job.
Right.
And there's a lot of like, I don't know what it is. If maybe like, cause you grew up, your dad sounds like he did the same thing. He was always doing something.
Always.
I don't know if it's what that is, but it's like, for me, it's like a compulsion. Like I have to do something. I have to be busy. I have to run 50 things at once or I get bored. I don't know. It's like I have a feeling your kids are going to be the same way. They were super stoked to come out here and just screw around while we were setting up.
Yeah.
They're interested in what we were doing. Like they probably just get that from you because you're the same way.
Well, and my wife is, and thanks for noticing that, but my wife is very much type A. I'm kind of like type A with a little B. I can be kind of mellow and, definitely I'm more, my dad says I'm more of the sniper. I kind of wait till the opportunity's there and then strike. And then when I strike hard.
Yeah.
But no, I think, I hope the boys are like that. I hope that someday they can find something, whether they continue this on for us, I hope so. I mean, that's what my original goal I'll start this thing and then I'll pass it off to somebody else and keep it going. That's what I want. That's what I envision for the Toledo Trail Riders.
What's hilarious is up to date. I don't know a number we're on podcast anymore. I keep losing track. Somewhere 6 to 8 range. Every single person that's come on so far has talked about how important it is to get kids outside. And granted, very, very skewed towards the outdoors crowd because it's an outdoors podcast. But
right.
It's like people without kids. We've spent half hours of an hour-long podcast talking about people without kids of how important it is to get kids outside.
Yeah, I think it's a serious problem.
That's everyone said that.
Yeah, I mean it's the kids are glued to the tablets. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not on my phone. I do check my phone. It's but there's certainly times like this past Sunday we got home from church. Boys, we're going out in the barn. Mm-hmm. We screwed around out here for a while. Had the heater going, which clearly we need to turn back on here soon. Yeah,
see the breath if you're watching.
Yeah, but you know what? This dirt bike stuff's a tough guy sport, so you got to be a tough guy to sit out here.
You're not even wearing a coat. I'm not wearing a coat.
Nah,
you're just toughing it.
I got a fire going in the house, man. I'll get warmed up when I go back up.
Why didn't we do this in the house?
Now shut her down. We got to restart. But no, I mean, we got to get the kids moving. Mm-hmm. They're not moving enough, and I'm not talking about my kids particularly, but I mean, there's times they're on the tablets. It's like, you're done. You're done. Go outside. You have
a perfect area to do it. I mean, you're in a great location.
Undisclosed.
Undisclosed.
Yeah.
I grew up in a similar situation. My dad purposely bought. I mean, he grew up in Toledo. My mom, him grew up in Toledo. We grew up right out of basically Holland out in. I'm having a vague memory of it now. It was Toledo, basically.
Yeah.
So he intentionally bought a place up in Michigan, 10-acre woodlot, and we were just the same as any other kids. We played video games. We were like a generation of the early 2000s, and then the late 90s.
Right.
Video games were like the thing.
Yep.
Coolest. You would literally be like, no, you're done.
Yep.
Go outside. You're not going to sit in here all day and play video games. And we were just left to our own devices in the woods. Like that. Like I hated it back then. I was like, this sucks. But now thinking back, I'm like, that was some of the best thing
Memories.
that ever happened.
Yeah.
I used to make a stack of wood out in the yard.
Right.
Hated it.
Right.
But now I'm like, I'd do that at home. I'd
Well,
go stack
when you
wood.
pulled in, it was probably too dark to see, but I built a wood shed just up adjacent to the barn here. And guess what the boys are doing?
Stacking wood.
Stacking wood.
It's the ultimate dad
over there,
move.
Right over there's a splitter.
And do they hate it?
Vincent, my youngest, definitely hates it. Every 10 to 15 minutes, he'll be like, I'm ready for a break. I'm like, dude, you just got started. Come on,
haven't even
man.
warmed up yet.
Come on. But, I didn't really have to do that kind of thing when I was a kid, but I was definitely outside a lot. Excuse me. I remember being outside in the barn, the garage with my dad working on bikes and, kind of just hanging out, being outside, playing with the neighbor kids. I grew up in a very similar situation in the country. We had an orchard to ride in, my cousin Aaron and my buddy Tim. We all had four-wheelers and dirt bikes. I mean, looking back, it's like we had the ultimate playground.
You didn't even know it.
And didn't even know it.
Exactly.
Didn't have a clue.
That's the curse of being an adult. You realize too late.
Didn't have a clue. We had campouts. We'd go hiking in the woods.
Get lost.
And could we have gotten hurt? Sure. But
Should you have gotten hurt?
Probably, yeah. We probably cheated death a couple times, but in all seriousness, it is a blessing to be outside with nature, whether you ride dirt bikes or you camp or you hunt. I know you hunt too. I hunt.
I was going to bring that up.
Or just taking a hike. I mean, look at the metro parks. Oh, what a blessing we have that here in Toledo.
Amazing resource.
We use them all the time.
Well, and you and I have talked about this actually before, not even on the show, kind of like off camera. It's crazy how, and I'm not one of those people. I'm all for whatever you want to do outside, just keeping people outdoors, because my perspective is that if it's fun and it's outdoors, that leads to the conservation ethic, like what you're doing. You're working with ODNR Forestry Division. You're working to conserve and make the area better. Because of the thing you love outdoors that's awesome.
Right.
And I would say probably there's a lot of people out there who are more what I would call like hippy dippy, that are like would be totally against what you're doing.
Tree huggers.
Biking. Yeah. And you have 80 people in your club that are helping conserve nature with Ohio Department of Natural Resources. How much more active could you be in the outdoor community? Okay, you ride dirt bikes. They use gas.
Right.
I drive a car every day. That uses gas.
Right.
My house, that uses gas. Like everything, I don't know. I think what you're doing is awesome, actually. You're doing a lot more for conservation than most people who are like making, hemp clothes or something. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. That whole movement is based on a lot of extremism. And I have no problem, absolutely zero problem with a portion of the metro parks, state forest lands, national forest lands being primitive to where not a single human being ventures into it.
And I love that too, because those are the places I enjoy.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not saying I would never sit here and say we need to ride our bikes or ATVs or whatever everywhere in the country.
Because you love nature.
Because I love nature. But at the same time, there's got to be areas that are safe, that are enjoyable for us to recreate properly. We love the woods just as much as everybody else.
Absolutely.
But we love it in a different way.
I literally spent a whole day with you guys doing what they would, like the ODNR would have to pay workers to do.
Yes.
Just because you're a club and you like being outside. I mean, that's...
It's very similar to like what the Metro Parks did over there with the mountain bike trail.
Except for yours is motorized.
But we're motorized, Now ours probably is going to require a little more maintenance because of the inertia of the bike and the knobby tires and that kind of stuff. But that is awesome to see that they did that for the mountain bikers, and I know that was a challenge because there was a lot of people that did not want that at all.
Have you ridden out there? Do you mountain bike?
I have not. No.
I did it for the first time last summer.
Okay.
And I've never ridden a mountain bike before. Okay.
Really?
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I love it. I actually want to buy a mountain bike because of it. I think just because of what you do is so similar in a way.
Right.
I think you would enjoy it.
Oh, I know I would, because I used to when I was racing more and kind of got, my family grew.
Mm-hmm.
I would go out there weekly and ride my mountain bike to train for racing dirt bikes.
Is it similar? Like, is it similar in a way? Or?
No, I mean it is, but it's not. It's perfect training for racing dirt bikes. I mean, it's totally cardiovascular.
Mm-hmm.
Dirt bikes, I mean, it's not only cardiovascular, but you are literally using every muscle in your body. So you do need to strength train. You're not benching 400 pounds. That would not be a good idea.
Except for you. You probably were.
Oh, well, yeah, 450 actually. Got it up twice, but anyway, that was kilograms, I think. But no, you all right
this
there,
ain't
Paul?
A comedy show.
Yeah, no, I thought you said it'd be funny, so I was just trying to be myself. But no, it's
the delivery was astounding.
Timing, right?
Just made me choke on my beer.
Sorry about that. I am CPR certified.
Okay.
If something goes,
I don't want it to come to
if
that.
something goes south here, I got you. But anyway, no, but it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I mean, we use we don't use the mountain bike trails as our family, but we go hiking out there, and it's just again getting outside, like the theme of your show.
Yeah.
Get outside. It doesn't matter what it is. Just get outside and do something.
Anything. Just like I blatantly am obvious every time I do anything. The entire goal of what I do is to get people excited about going outside.
Right.
I don't care if you're riding dirt bikes. I don't care if you're pushing strollers. I don't care if you're flying kites. Go outside.
Right. Exactly.
It's so sweet because it leads people to appreciate with the conservation ethic. I'm huge on conservation, and that's why I'm talking to so many people about this stuff. But enough about me. This show isn't about me. I already got one of those on TV.
We're good.
The club, you guys got some pretty big things coming up. You do the race every year. You got, do you have any big plans? I know you're a busy man. You got a limited time schedule, so I don't want to cut you off short.
Yep. We do. We've got big plans. So we're not doing a race this year at Heinz Farm. So we are going to do some sort of event there. What's kind of on the table now and likely to happen is a kind of a jamboree type weekend. What we're looking at is maybe you can recreationally trail ride. We might have some other events. My idea was maybe have like a pit bike challenge, like at night.
What is that?
Like these mini bikes over here. I know your camera can't see it, but think about adults riding those in a track.
Like those mini crotch rockets that people ride around.
Yeah, similar. But think about adults, grown adult males riding those.
That'd be hilarious.
That are probably really good motocrossers or off-road riders anyway, and then banging into each other and hitting each other and falling all over. That could be fun.
That sounds amazing.
Heinz Farm is actually, they're talking about having like a blues festival maybe that weekend.
That would be cool.
So it's going to be, the details are kind of vague at this point. Mm-hmm. We have the new thing that we're working on right now is we are working on installing single track, some more single track. Yep. You already saw what we have out there now.
Awesome.
So this is actually going to be another mile or so of it. Mm-hmm. So we should have like 2.2 miles, 2.4 miles of single track when we're all said and done. So we've been going out. We were supposed to go out this past Sunday with all the rain. We just said
it's raining
too
right
wet.
now. We're sitting here. It's weird.
Cold is better, honestly.
Yeah.
Rain is terrible to work in outside. But no, we're working on that, trying to get that going. That should be open in the spring, we hope. So we're going to try to do some kind of a big unveiling there. Mm-hmm. A group of us are going up to the UP to do some trail riding in July.
You better take some GoPros. I want to see that. That looks cool.
I don't have one, but I probably should get one.
You should have like 15.
Yeah.
I have a lot.
Yeah, I know. I know where to get one now.
Yeah,
I need to borrow one. But no, we're going to do that. We have the Vintage Days down in Mid-Ohio. That's going to be in July. We kind of help put on that. Hair Scramble down, the Vintage Hair Scramble. That is like one of the best events ever. It's all it's just basically the Super Bowl of vintage motorcycles,
like actual vintage bikes.
Yes. So they have a swap meet that's I mean, there's literally people that fly in from around the world to this thing, and you wouldn't think this happens in Ohio. It does.
Ohio has a lot of strange events that you don't think that they would have.
I know. I don't know what it is about the state. There's just like,
I think it's because it's affordable to do it here.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. No, you're right. You might be right. I mean, people are, somewhat pretty flexible with what you do.
Yeah.
So, but that's going to be in July, and then again September we're going to have our big event out at Heinz Farm. So, and I tell you, Heinz Farm, they really have stepped up their game as far as their business there. Mm-hmm. They kind of were dormant for a while, and honestly, they really attributed that to us doing a race there. Steve's painted the building. He's redecorated the inside. He's got the bar open 3 or 4 nights a week now. He's got musical acts almost every single weekend. It is awesome to see.
Hopping.
But see if you fast forward that, so we have a race there, or go backwards. Mm. We have a race there. He gets his business kind of back to where it should be. They're employing people. And look at the circle of the money there. People are coming in spending money. Mm-hmm. It's a win-win. It's an absolute win. Everybody wins.
And you get to watch people ride little mini dirt bikes and crash into each other.
Why not?
That's
Why not?
Way cooler.
No, I hope that don't happen, but it's gonna happen when you got.
It's inevitable, but you hope you don't see it.
Oh man, I can just envision now. I think it'll be very entertaining if we can pull that off. We still gotta, like I said, we're still working on the details, all that. It takes time to develop these things, but behind the scenes, we're really pushing hard for things.
And this might be way off in the future, but how many are you for the documentary? Are you talking months, years? You don't really know. Is there a time frame in line?
I would love to have it done in 2 years.
Okay.
I think that's a reasonable amount of time to not only get sponsors, because again, that's kind of number one.
That's tough.
That's real tough. But we're up to the challenge, and then actually coordinate with him. Right, mm-hmm. And then coordinate with the different facets of the movie because we're trying to get some big time industry people in this thing that knew him. He told me that Bob Hanna, who's one of the most famous motocross racers of all time, stayed at his house here in Toledo when he had the motocross, the national motocross race out here in Delta. You wouldn't believe it. He'd be like, I'm just trying to think of a
Michael Jordan sleeping at your house?
In a nutshell, yeah. Or like a Larry Bird.
Wow.
On that same wavelength. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest ball players of all time staying at your house to play a game at
your home field
in Toledo.
That's crazy. And I have no doubt in my mind that you guys will do it. No doubt. Well, judging by your personality and the way you're driven, it's going to happen. I'll say it right now in front of everyone. It's going to be a sweet documentary. Yeah. You're going to have all the famous people in the world, and if it's not, I'll delete the episode.
Put that. Put that in the archive. But I appreciate that. I'm gonna just keep pushing at it. That's all you can do.
All right, before we finish up for tonight, you're a busy man. I don't want to keep you too long. Yep. You had a special list of people you wanted to pay mention to, Toledo Trail Riders sponsors.
I do.
And let us know who your sponsors are, why they're so important to you, and any just awesome things that they help you guys out with.
Well, I'm so nerdy that I had to bring a spreadsheet because
I saw that.
Yeah,
very nerdy.
Yeah, I am.
But I appreciate.
No,
it.
I am. I
keep every book I've ever read on an Excel spreadsheet.
Do you really?
I feel your pain. Yeah. I'll show it to you after the episode's over.
Well, the sponsors that we have right now are all local. Mm-hmm. Their membership is due here in March. Just so this is their warning shot.
Pay up.
It's time. But we got Brandeis Ford, Championship Power Sports in Wasion, Elizabeth Scott Community. That's our company.
I say I've heard of those before.
Yeah, I've heard of it a few times. Estate Jewelers Toledo. One of our club members, his family, another family business, Honda East Toledo, MPM Wealth Advisors. Little short side stories. So MPM the owners of them, or the partners of MPM, they're over in Holland there. They are actually the landowners, part of the landowners that we use for the Fallen Timbers race. So you talk about all in.
Yeah.
Here's a landowner, which most landowners are like, well, no, you're not racing on my property through my woods. No way. And then not only they're all in there, they're all in to sponsor the club. And it's really cool.
That's all in.
We have Napoleon Harley Davidson and Rock Roofing. When he's another club member as well, he does. Rocky Conley does, I guess, fantastic roofs. He's the king of roofing, I think, is his motto. And then
I need a new roof.
Yeah, call him. I got his number on the spreadsheet.
Beautiful. It's
coincidentally,
it's like he's your sponsor.
He is, yeah. And then we have Sandusky Valley Riders down in Sycamore, Ohio, and then Zero Gravity Trailer Sales. Zero Gravity is the trailers you see next to MX Express there by the airport.
Cool story. My uncle owns the business right next door to them, Green Sweep.
Oh,
he doesn't sponsor my show though, so I shouldn't have said that.
That's
hey, Uncle Steve.
This is the sales job. You know?
Uncle Steve, hook me up.
Yeah,
he's got 10 sponsors. I got 0. What are you doing over here?
That's your plea.
Yeah, come on. And on an ending note, I've been saving this all night. The funniest thing about this whole thing is you guys are my aunt's boss.
Yes.
My Aunt Bridget. You guys employ her at Elizabeth Scott. That's
we do.
So awesome.
Yep.
She actually loves her job there. I've never heard her complain. I'm not saying this out of just to be weird.
Right.
She never complained. She loves working there.
Well, she wouldn't though. You know.
She
not, but in general, knowing Bridget for 25 years now.
Wow.
I mean, think about that.
You've known her since I was 5 years old.
Yeah. I was 12 or whatever it was. But, she doesn't complain hardly at all, no matter what.
Well,
she just does her job. She's very dedicated. She's a manager. She's been with us a long time. She's driven herself, got a beautiful family. And
us Polish people are pretty crazy when it comes to working. I don't know. I think we just like it.
Dedicated. Not afraid to roll up the sleeves.
So on that note, I want to thank you so much, Matt, for coming out.
Yes.
Well, actually, I came out to you.
Yeah, you're here.
I mean,
you're going to have to leave.
I have to actually go. Oh, well, there goes my plans for the night. But thank you so much. Yep. I'm super stoked for what you guys are doing, and I cannot wait to see that documentary. I'll be sitting here in 2 years just waiting.
I know where you could probably get a cheap ticket. We are, on a side note, we are actually, I just learned of a connection today that may get us hooked up with Netflix.
Beautiful.
So
I'll watch it from home then.
That may happen.
I'll save
we'll see.
The ticket price.
Keep your fingers crossed. So
all right.
Appreciate for you coming out. All the best to your show, and keep plugging away. Keep pushing.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching this episode of the Aptitude Outdoors Podcast. You'll have to excuse the non-outdoorsy background. I'm currently remodeling the home studio so that I can do all the streaming podcasting stuff from home. It's been a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm trying my best. I really want to thank Matt Bucher for coming on. He's an awesome dude, very knowledgeable in trail riding, dirt bikes, all this amazing stuff. He's recently started his own podcast, the Toledo Trail Podcast. Super interesting to learn about all this trail riding stuff I didn't even know existed. He's got some pretty big celebrities in the field on his podcast, so I'll definitely put a link in the description below so that you can find it. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. And thank you yet again for watching. And while you're at it, head over to all the socials and follow the Toledo Trail Riders. Matt is doing great work, conservation work here in Northwest Ohio. And I just love what they're doing. And they're just a bunch of fun dudes. So we'll see y'all next time.